Melissa, were you able to see that Carmen put in the chat box that she is officially calling the meeting to order?
Yes.
Okay. You're probably going to have to be her voice for her.
Okay. So I will not be able to share. I'm going to stop that. Are you able to share your report when it's time?
Principal report? Yes.
Yep. Okay. Perfect. All right. We're broadcasting live on YouTube to the school's webpage, and it's 12:40 p.m. Calling the meeting to order per Ms. Carmen Palmer, Forsyth Vice President. Roll call real quick. We have Carmen Palmer, Martine, we have Tiffany, we have Erica. We do have quorum, as well as our principal, Wendy Barajas. And next on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
Are there any items that need to be added?
Any items that need to be added to the agenda, or would you like to accept as is?
I don't need to add anything to the agenda.
No. Okay. Anyone else?
No.
Okay. We will, Carmen says accept as is. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda as is?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as is.
Second that.
Thank you, Tiffany and Martine. All those who approve the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next on the agenda, board organizational matters. There are none. Do we have anyone from the public for public comment? Nope. All righty. We will move into management reports, Forsyth Academy Voices report, and then on to the principal's report. Turn it over to Wendy.
There are no other Forsyth Academy Voices report. Again, they are, the last we had spoke with them is that they are working on getting their documents to, or their paperwork to be audited. So that's in process. Nothing else has come in, nothing else has gone out through them as well. So I should have an update soon, hopefully, when that report comes back to share with you guys. Under the principal's board report here, I've already emailed this information to you guys to look over beforehand. This is our enrollment portion as we stand right now. We currently, if you look at that, kind of like the third column or fourth column over the enrolled piece, we have 725 students currently enrolled here at Forsyth Academy. That is up from where we were last year at this time. About 30 students, if you will, above where we were this year last time. Under the re-enrolling, you see there's nothing there. Everybody that has said they were coming back at this point has come back. We do have 10 students that are in the queue, as I call it, that are in the process of letting us know if they're wanting to accept the seat, or, you know, in the process of definitely taking the seat and starting within the next week or so. So we do have 10 new students that we're currently getting in at this juncture in October. It says on the third to last column, the available seats, we have 24 openings. Most of them are in second, third, fourth, and fifth. You can see there the amount of seats that we have available, and you can see the wait list. I think it's pretty awesome to see and show that we have that many people, 163 that are interested in Forsyth Academy at this juncture. We must be doing something right. I want them to, you know, they're still hanging out. And so what we're doing is that we're contacting those folk and saying, hey, you know, we don't have any seats available at this point. Can we turn your application in this year to be for next year? How can we capture that interest so you can go ahead and get your child's application in the process so it can be included in the lottery come February. So we're reaching out to all of those 163 students, and we will continue to do that at that point for anybody that continues to express an interest this year. We'll just quickly say, let's get you started for next year's application. And there's no one in the queue for the applied status at this point. Any questions on the enrollment piece? Okay, we'll keep moving. There was a follow-up from previous meeting. You guys had question about the vaccination incentive for staff. And I was able to inquire from my DSQ to see what, if any, had been any discussions at all with the service center. And so they're actually in the middle of discussing this whole component of vaccinations, really seeing where does the portion that Biden had put in, how does that play into charter schools? Where does it fall and lie within employees and all of that? There's a whole group of people coming together to look at that. The conversation about incentives for vaccination did come up and is currently on the table, but they have not made any decisions about that. So if and when they do, I'll be happy to share with you what they come up with. But that was just wanted to give you a quick little update on that. Number 3, highlights. We've had month of September has been really, really busy for all of us administrators. We've been getting in classrooms and doing some observations to see how the faculty and staff are setting that culture, that culture that we talked about, that culture of excellence and high expectations. Is that being set solidly in all of the classrooms? And so we've been able to provide that observation information to our teachers, and any of those that need some tweaking, we've been able to work with them on that as well. On September the 14th was our North Carolina State Count Day. That was our day where the state did pull from our current enrollment and said, this is the money portion that you would get from us at that point. So that was on September the 14th. And then September the 28th, we just recently had our fall Title I parent night, and it was done virtually. We did this last year, and it really worked really well. I was very pleasantly surprised at the amount of folk who attended, and it was even very well attended this last week as well. But it was the portion where I present the Title I piece where we go over all of the funding that we receive from Title I dollars and share out with everybody about how it's being utilized. We go over some, academic portions what are some trends we're seeing of some areas we need some improvement on and some things that we have seen some improvement. Things like the homeless liaison portion, the wellness plan, just a big portion of just what our Title I program looks like. And then after I finished, the parents had the opportunity to then click into their child's grade level, where the teacher then really talked about what they are doing in the classroom to help combat this unfinished learning portion. We know kids did not get the curriculum that they needed last year. So what are we doing this year to kind of pull everybody in, continue teaching what we need to teach this year, but pulling in those things from last year as well. So the teachers had their sessions that they were able to present to their parents. All of our sessions were recorded, and then I sent the links out to all the parents where they can click in and they can view the recorded sessions of any and all grade levels. We even had some things thrown in there from our specialists as far as how the arts can help during the time of this transition period. Then I even had people like my social workers talking about some ways to combat some of the mental health components and some stresses that we're seeing because of COVID. So parents have all that information for them to be able to click into, view as much as they want, and then follow up with any questions that they may have for us at the school. That was a really, really cool night. Moving over to bullying. And
I'm sorry, Wendy.
Yes, ma'am.
Really quick, Carmen has actually put a couple of questions in the chat box.
It's
okay.
Yes.
It's okay. The first one I think was about growth, and the second one was about the event. So,
okay, can you read the question to me because I can't see it as I'm sharing.
Thank you, Tiffany. What do you attribute to the growth? What do you attribute the growth to? Is it all organic? And do you know how many folks attended the event?
Oh, can you tell me more, Carmen, the growth of what?
The students, the enrollment.
Oh, the enrollment.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, we actually just had a full marketing meeting last week, and we were looking at all of the data. We were like, so what is it? What has brought us? And we've seen our enrollment increasing over the past years. What we think is that there were just people who just absolutely flat out knew virtual is not for me and it's not for my child. And when Forsyth Academy finally said that we are not going to do any virtual, we were able to capture some of those students from the public school system who was just like, I just want a school that's going to focus on just in person. That was a portion of it. Another portion is, I do believe we just have a lot of large families. And so we've got a lot of siblings in from kids that have already been here. So I think parents are just finding more and more confidence in the fact that Forsyth Academy is going to grow their children. And our data is just rolling in. We'll talk about that in a minute, but our data is just rolling in. But we really have outperformed the closest schools that are around us. So I think word is getting out and spreading that Forsyth Academy is a good thing for our community, academically, socially, emotionally, all of that, kind of the whole child, not just, go there, you can learn. I think it's a big portion. It's become what my heart has been is really that family community school. And I think that's what brings people to us. And then what was the second question? Yes.
Okay, finally, I got my phone to work. I had to change my settings. Now I know, Jalen will be 27 this year. So when he was there many moons ago, the math program, of course, excelled tremendously. So at 6th grade, he was functioning on a 9th grade or a high 8th grade level math. Are we still seeing numbers like that?
No, ma'am, not in math. And that's not going to be across the state of North Carolina. That's not just NHA schools, that's all schools. And I would dare say if you even ventured out even more, I think it's, our country. Math has just it's taken a hit with this whole COVID component. The fact that they're just not able to be here to grapple with it, to talk through it. It's been a struggle, but it's just not us. It's everybody, which makes it feel a little bit better. But then it's like, okay, we got a bigger problem. But math definitely is our biggest deficit.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Wendy,
Yes.
what was our head count on count day?
Ooh, good question. I don't know that answer exactly. It was, it was probably around like 7:30. We've lost a couple of kids since then, but about 7:30, I would say.
Okay. And that
compares,
I get that. And that compares to, obviously, last year may not be fully indicative, but that compares to last year how? I don't remember what our count was for 2021 either.
Yeah, our count for 2021 was probably about 700 and I want to say 720-ish. It was a little bit lower.
Okay.
But when we looked at our fall marketing meeting last week, we did not hardly have any children or families leave us or come to us for the start of last year.
Right.
I think everybody was just COVID. They just kind of stayed put.
Right.
So yeah, we look at our numbers and we're like, that's just so not what has been the typical for Forsyth Academy. So, we're looking at it with a grain of salt, but at the same time, it feels like a blip on the radar, but we're looking at those trends. Is there something organically we need to consider as to the reasons why students left us? I will say that this year, out of most of the years that I've been principal, when looking at the data for those who chose not to come back, the biggest hit was because families are literally moving like out of state. And I would imagine that's probably just, from a financial, impact to what's happened in the economy. And I haven't said that in a very, very long time. So I feel it, I see it, this year. And I'm so thankful that the federal government has continued the free and reduced or the free lunch portion and breakfast meals. Because if they had not, I just couldn't imagine what would have taken place if, where we are economically, if these people and families had to come up with trying to have to pay for kids' meals,
Right.
So that's the first time I've seen an impact for our enrollment this year was the large amount of families who just had to move like out of state.
Right.
That was a big impact for us.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions so far? Okay. So the box to the right, the bullying and the food quality, and then the discipline data. Let me just say the food quality, haven't had any incidents or issues with that. We're rolling pretty well with that. Discipline and bullying. This is where we're seeing some impacts of COVID. Children struggling to get acclimated back into a social setting, being able to handle conflict the appropriate way, being able to know where those boundaries are, but being able to handle emotionally all of the stresses that are, just being put back on them as they come back and dealing with all these variety of social situations. So as indicated, I just knew that we were going to have an increase with our discipline and our bullying issues. So I feel like we're having to go back to square one and really educate our children to these are the expectations. This is how you're supposed to respond. These are the resources and tools that you have available to you in order to be able to respond appropriately. And it takes some of them longer than others to be able to get that back into their routine, because it's certainly not something that they see at home or out in the community. So for us, we have seen an uptick in our bullying. Most of those bullying incidents are social media related, things that take place at home on social media, and then it's brought into the school. And we see that it has become a pattern and it's just kind of spread. All of the reports that were given, there were 4 of them. They were identified as patterns, and then all 4 did receive the necessary consequences associated with that. We have gone back. Well, let me go to the discipline first, then I'll tell you some other things that we're doing. Under the discipline data, you can see ISS and OSS has also increased as well. Out of that OSS, you've got 4 of those for bullying. You also have 4 of those who wanted to take part in the TikTok destruction of the school environment.
Oh, the slap a teacher challenge?
Not that one. Not that one.
That
That
was
one.
about to say now. That's
Yeah.
a whole other level.
This was the defacing of the bathrooms.
Right.
One down the 3-5 hallway and then middle school hallway. So yeah, I could go on and on about that, but I'm not going to. Either way, the rest of those were just, students who were struggling day in with just being able to coexist and be able to handle themselves in a social, emotional situation. So what we've done is at the beginning of the school year, we did an unofficial screener for all of our students. The teachers did this and they were able to identify struggles that they were seeing with the child in their class. It could have been, anxiousness. It could have been, this child struggles to resolve conflict. This child comes in and they're always hungry. They're not in the uniform appropriately, being able to identify all of these things. And so all of that data was brought together for administration, and it came to where we were able to create these social emotional learning groups. Each of the children that were identified by the teachers as having some of these struggles are now placed in a social emotional learning group that is going to be meeting with our social worker at least once a week, where they will pull these 4 or 5 kids together who are struggling with the same thing and be able to put in some lessons to help them be able to overcome some of the struggles that they have. That meeting will start next week. And then at the end of November, we will go back in to see what are we looking at? Is this working? Is it not? Do we need to tweak it? Or some kids need to move off? Do we have some new ones that need to, come on? So we're really trying to be proactive, if you will, versus reactive for situations, but we're trying to make sure that we educate first, because we believe that's why we're here. We have to educate children first what the expectations are and how to handle themselves in that manner before we can, put some discipline in effect. So I look forward to be able to share that upcoming piece with you, maybe at the maybe January, to give you guys an idea of how things are going. But that's what we're doing as a school to help combat with just getting kids acclimated back into the social setting of school. Any questions about that? Okay.
You are saying that most of the children or most of the incidences have occurred with the older children, middle school, or this is across grades?
This is across K-8.
Okay.
What you see here is K-8, and you can see like students who really are struggling with just being in a structured setting,
Yes.
Those are your kinders and your first graders. And their behaviors are going to be outbursts of anger and temper tantrums and running and hiding. Those are what the behaviors we're seeing with them. Your older kids, they're doing crazy things like the defacement of the bathrooms. I'm like, you must have been bored last year in order to feel like this is what you need to do to come back. It's all that I see as what they're trying to do is gain that social interaction
Right.
that they so lacked. And so they're looking for that validation from their social peers, right? And I'll be honest with you, this is literally what one of the children who defaced my 3-5 bathroom told me when I said, please give me your reason as to why you thought it was an okay idea to do this. And he literally looked at me very honestly and said, I am down in followers and I needed more views. That was the exact answer to me. So these children are looking for the validation that they didn't get last year. And so they're doing anything possible to just have people feel like that, hey, they're cool. They're doing this, they're doing that.
So Wendy, I have a question. Do we have anybody monitoring, like, for instance, that particular student being down on followers, his social media accounts, to make sure that nothing abrupt would happen, maybe off of TikTok or Instagram? As you know, the different instances we've had at public schools lately. So do we have anybody specifically monitoring any type of social media accounts for those students that are getting OSS?
So what we have in place is the Say Something platform. And that is when anybody that sees anything, they can anonymously go in and provide the tip. That comes down to anything. That could be, the extreme of someone says they're going to come in and hurt people, all the way down to my friend is really struggling with anxiety and she doesn't want to come to school, right? So that platform is there that we get to get these tips anonymously, and our students use it, and we're grateful that they are the eyes and the ears that we will never be able to tap into. They're the friends of all these other people that we can't be friends with. So in a way, that's the empowerment that we're seeking from our students, is that you need to be the one to help us maintain the control of the school. You know what's going on. If you hear something or see something that doesn't feel right, report it, and then we get to take it from there. So I'm very proud of our students for doing so. They are very quick. They're very protective over their teachers, their hallway, and everything that we heard about these TikTok challenges, it was already reported to us before we got to school in the morning time. And so we were watching out for it. Unfortunately, we weren't able to catch some of them, but I do think we probably warded off several others at that point when they realized that they had been told on. So,
Okay, great.
And maybe just a silly question, but what is the policy on mobile phones, cellular phones in class?
Forsyth Academy doesn't allow them to be out. We know that students bring them to school. They are not to be out. If they are out, then the faculty takes them and then they return them to the parent. The parent then decides if they want to give it back or not. And that's a lot of time where our frustrations come, when we've literally given it right to the hands of the parent and they turn to us right in front of us and they give it back to the kid. And we're like, we're asking that you provide a consequence at home for also what's taking place here at school. But I can't force a parent to do any of that information or any of that stuff. After a certain amount of time, if we see the child continues to have it out, constantly, then that fringes then upon the they're just being defiant. That's complete defiance at that point. And so that goes into another realm of discipline consequences. Then you just got your phone out. But these things are happening at home. That's getting stirred up and then brought to school. So social media this last year has really, really taken a control over our students, and it is what's feeding their validation on a daily basis. So it's a struggle. The struggle is real. Any other questions? Okay. You can see number 5, chronic absenteeism. I always want to let you guys know where we are with that as well. We do have 4 students with 10 or more absences, and these are not COVID related. I do separate those. If someone has to be quarantined because a family member is in COVID, or they themselves are in COVID, that is not included for those 4 students. So our social worker is working very, very closely with them to provide any resources necessary to change that behavior. And if not changed, then she will move forward with truancy coming very soon. We're almost at that point of they've had enough time to be able to change it. And so truancy will probably take place very shortly for these 4 students. Number 6.
I have a question. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
You're
On the, have we thought about having maybe Sheriff Kimbrough's office or Lieutenant Thompson come in to talk about bullying and some of the issues that we're seeing? Maybe if they see someone that is in authority other than yourself and administration, that maybe they would take things seriously.
Yeah, we have not had them in this year. Chief Police Thompson, she actually came and spoke at one of our graduation services before and laid it out there. It was great. We have several other judges that are various people who come and will say, let me tell you what I see on the side of my bench when I have people like you standing in front of me.
Right.
But you're right, Carmen. Sometimes it's just getting them to realize that this is not just us. Like, this is for real stuff outside. So we haven't had that this year, but I can certainly pass it on to Dean Watson and Dean McIntyre. They're the 3-8 deans who can, bring that in and see if that's something that might be a good, in their ear.
And we may want to
Wish I
add
had parents they could hear too. Say that again.
We may want to add Judge Hartsfield to the list.
Oh, good. Yes. I remember Judge Hartsfield. You're right. Thank you for that one. I forgot about that one. Perfect. Thanks, guys. Okay. Number 6, progress toward charter contract goals. If you would, turn in your board binder to pages 4. We're going to look at 4 through 6. Page 4 through 6. I am not going to scroll down to the next page. Well, actually, let me start at page 6. If you will look at page 6 on your board binder, you can see there. I'm not going to read this out exactly because this is still under state embargoed until it's been officially released by the state, but you do have the information in front of you. On page 6, I want to point out that there are 3 columns to the right. You've got Forsyth County, closest schools, and statewide. So you can see when this is in comparison, where do we compare with each of these components? So you can see just at Forsyth County, there's a lot of negatives. We don't stack up against Forsyth Academy, apples to apples exactly, even with our demographics, is not what exactly the Forsyth County schools demographics look like. So that's where you can see compared to them. You can see the all grades and subjects with that final percentage looks like. That would be both in math and reading. I want to skip over to the statewide. The statewide definitely has some larger gaps, if you will, compared to even Forsyth County. But again, I like to look at who do we compare to apples with who we look like. So then you go to the column in the middle, the closest schools. And if you see that, there's an asterisk or right up underneath it, it literally lists the names of the schools closest around to us: Gibson, North Hills, Northwest Middle, Old Town Elementary, and Spees. All of those schools do look just like us. And so it would be apples to apples to be able to let you know where are we in comparison to schools that parents in this neighborhood can choose other schools to go to, right? Are we being the better choice for our parents? And so if you look at that column as the closest school and you can see that overall grades and subjects, then I would say absolutely. We are definitely outperforming them. And we are definitely being able to proudly say that we are a great choice for parents and students in this neighborhood to bring their students to our school for learning. I'm not going to go through this report exactly because of the state embargoed portion. You have this. You are certainly welcome to, call me, email me if you have specific questions. The pages before, pages 4 and 5, is the exact same information. It's just in a different format. I like page 6. I like the format. This makes sense to me. It's all in one slot where I can see it all compared together. In your principal's report, there is also a table that's right after number 6 on this report that you can see where are we compared to before all this COVID took place, right? COVID, yeah, I get COVID kind of put this big bump in the road for us. One year we didn't even have EOG data because we didn't take it. Last year we had EOGs we took, and it was like, whew, that was rough. Some kids came in to take it. Some kids refused to take it. It just didn't feel like it was a comparable piece again. So I wanted to see where did we land last year to where we landed at the end of 18-19. So that next table on this document, this principal's board document, is where you can view and see just how far off we are from where we landed. My message to all of my faculty and staff is pre-pandemic. Our goal this year has got to be to get back to pre-pandemic, and that's at 18-19 data. That's the hill we're climbing up slowly but surely, to get there. And so I don't know why I left this off. I apologize. I don't know if it just didn't say, but number 7, the key initiatives to meet and sustain these goals. So here are the things that we're doing to get to pre-pandemic. This week is our first week for intense data dives. Every faculty and staff member from K through 8 classrooms are in meetings with deans, poring over the current data that we have this year. We've done a lot of screenings at the very beginning of the school year, a lot of diagnostic testing, because we wanted to get some real live data. Where are our students performing right now in August when we start? Then those individual learning plans are being built and created for each of our students. Do they need, extra assistance in this particular standard in math? Do they need more help in reading? And so we're literally taking all of our students, reading their data map, if you will, to determine who they need to go and see for extra help. When does that need to take place and for how long? And so the teams are getting together this week, looking at that data, creating those groups and that schedule for when students can go out of the classroom for some additional help to fill in these learning gaps and this unfinished learning that, we're just like, I've got so much to catch up on. So that's taking place this week, are the data dives. The second portion is we really have put a laser focus, intense just study and structure to our curriculum. We've been working really, really closely with our curriculum and instruction team at National Heritage Academies, making sure that the curriculum is appropriately aligned to what the students know now and what they need to know by the end of the school year. A lot of tweaking has taken place for our current curriculum to ensure that the right holes are being filled, right? And so in doing that, we have also partnered with them to where they're going to be coming into the school, and they're going to be doing some observations of some classrooms to provide the deans more coaching as to how they can best coach this teacher up. We want to make sure that our students are getting the best teacher-led instruction possible. And so I feel like we've got all the right people in the right place. I'm just like, okay, this is it. And if you were to walk into Forsyth Academy right now, it just feels good. It feels intentional, purposeful. Teachers are urgent. We all feel that urgency of getting everybody where they need to be. And so it feels really good that people are all rowing in this boat in the same direction. I mean, all of us are just working so hard. The data that we're seeing now is actually not scary, to be honest with you. I'm like, there's glimpses of hope. Our students have already shown growth just by walking in the door this year. From the very beginning of the diagnostic testing at the beginning of the school year to now mid-October, we're seeing in our assessments that they're learning, and they're learning quickly. So I'm hopeful. I really am hopeful that one trudge at a time, we're gonna get up to that pre-pandemic level where we were in 18-19 by the end of the school year. Any questions about that? Okay. Number 8, moral focus of the month is wisdom. Everything's about wisdom. Every conversation we have is about wisdom. My middle school dean even has dean bucks that she gives out to kids if they can recite the definition of wisdom or the definition for whatever the virtue of the month is. And so they're constantly coming up to tell her that so they can get their dean bucks. Number 9, under staff update, we'll go into closed session a little bit later for that new hire that I was able to hire. You can see that there are vacancies there. I still have 2 special education paraprofessional positions to fill for this year. I was given 1 additional teacher in residence that I am super excited about, and I'm going to an in-person teacher fair at Appalachian State University next Friday. So I know, right? I'm excited. I've got several teachers from App State, so I'm excited to go there and see if I can't hire a December grad from the education department to fill this teacher in residency position. And then I still have my maternity leaves. That number has gone up since then. So I'm continuing to look for people to fill these maternity leaves. I told my faculty, I was like, no more. We're not having any more children. So I have no leaves currently. And then upcoming events, you can see, like I said, this week is Data Dives. This Friday is our very first community event that we haven't had in so long, and I'm excited. Community trunk or treat from 6 to 8 here at Forsyth Academy. It's a very, we're not having food or anything. You're just going to come in, get your treats and kind of move on. We are expecting a lot of people. Our children here at the school are collecting candy, and they've already collected over 1,300 pounds of candy already for Friday night. So I'm anticipating a great crowd for our community to come in and just have a good, safe place to come for students and families. Believe it or not, next Friday is the end of Q1 already. Then after that, we will have our virtual Q1 awards for our parents to be able to ping in through home. We have our regional professional development coming up where we'll get some more learning to do. And then our parent-teacher conferences will be at the end of this month. And then the week of November the 8th is actually our first check-in testing, so we can get some more data and see how we're doing. Any questions for me? Stop sharing. I hear you, Carmen. That's good. Any other questions? All right, Carmen, I'm gonna turn it back over to you.
Okay, since there are no other questions, we're gonna move right along. And I have misplaced my agenda.
That's okay. We're on board fund report, or you can find that in your board packet starting on page 8.
Yes. So if you would please turn to page 8.
And so there's a little over 42,000 left in available allocations after receiving the $35,000 allocation. And we also have a board funds rollover request that is coming up, almost 16,000 that we need to roll back into board fund requests a little later in the board meeting. Were there any questions before we move on to ESSER funds report?
If there are no questions in regards to the board fund report. Melissa, just correct me if I'm wrong, 42,181.57, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If there's no questions, we'll move on to letter D, the ESSER funds report.
Okay.
That can be found on page 10.
Yes, ma'am. So the ESSER funds, there's ESSER 1, 2, and 3. And so from our partner services team, we've asked for like a breakdown of terms, definitions, and really timelines of how ESSER 1, 2, and 3 will roll out at each school. So on page 11, there are some terms with a letter prior to that, giving an overview. But on page 12, there's a breakdown for Forsyth for ESSER funds 1, 2, and 3, as well as I know Principal Barajas has probably gotten her marching orders of reaching out and getting all stakeholders' input for how to invest these funds. Stakeholders like parents, staff, as well as board members. So we'll be setting up time with Derek and Wendy and myself to complete. There it is. Thank you, Wendy. Beautiful segue. Wendy has thrown in the chat box a beautiful survey that you all will beautifully take so that she can get your feedback of how to invest these funds. Yeah, anything you want to add there, Wendy, to that page 12, which I am so appreciative of this year that they have put in and broken down. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So absolutely. Seriously, if you guys complete that survey, you can do it right here. It will take 3 minutes. It literally just gives you some ideas of how we want to use some of these funds. A lot of it is academic related, of course, because of the unfinished learning. It just breaks down and asks kind of what are some of your ideas for that. Once we have all that information, then I'm going to go with my grants person, and we're going to create a budget for the use of these ESSER funds. And right now we're looking between now and the summer of 2022. And so we'll be able to create a plan of how we want to utilize these funds. And I'm also excited to say that in my plan, I think I have enough funds available to provide some retention bonuses for some faculty, which I think is super huge and important at this point. So that's kind of number one on my bucket list outside of academics. But if you can complete this survey, this will help me know your feedback and help me be able to create the plan better. At the next board meeting, I'll literally come with the plan to show you what we've created, and then you guys will vote on it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy.
Any questions in regards to that? I think it was very well put together. So questions on my end. Let us now move to our discussion items. That way we can wrap this up. So in case we need to make votes before anyone has to leave.
Sure. The first discussion item real quick is the facility refinance. I know that Derek has spoken with board counsel John Flynn regarding this initiative. And after speaking with Derek, unable to attend this meeting due to travel, and John, they want to move this item to the November meeting so that everyone will be in Derek will be back, John will join the meeting, and we'll have a little deeper discussion regarding this. So if everyone can read over Mr. Heisinger's letter, as well as the beautiful PowerPoint you've received and all documentation regarding the refinance opportunity for Forsyth before our November meeting, that would be great. I will, if I can, Madam VP, jump to 7E just to let you know that the conflict of interest letter, board counsel, Derek wanted us to add that to the agenda from last month, where John Flynn, your counsel, also represents Truist Banking, who is a part of the refinance initiative. So John wanted to make sure everything was crystal clear and that he was basically doing a conflict of interest waiver. And at the time when we discussed it, it was not done. And so Derek wanted to have it on the agenda. Since then, all 5 schools that John represents the conflict of interest waiver has been approved and it is intact. So it's on the agenda because we weren't sure, but it's been done. So there's 7E. I just wanted to check that off the box. Check that box for you all.
Do we need to vote on that?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
7B, 21-22 amended budget timing. Let me jump down to that. You'll have that, just a little brief info on page 21. We normally typically include that in the November board meeting agendas, but we're planning to present the amended 21-22 budgets at the January board meeting, hopefully by postponing that. We'll have more of an accurate budget reflective of the ESSER initiatives, because everyone will do that survey. It's only going to take 3 minutes, and have this investment season done so that we can have more of a robust conversation around the amended budget.
Okay.
Why isn't this clicking? 7C, the 21-22 remote instruction plan, as part of state board rule 654, which was part mask wearing policy in schools, but also remote instruction plans, just in case we have to close school completely due to C-19 or any other virus that may come. And so Wendy and team have submitted this plan to the state for approval. And it's here for you pretty much as an FYI, as board members of Forsyth Academy. And it's pretty lengthy in your board packet, but just wanted to make sure you were aware. And any questions on remote instruction or amended budget? 7D is your fall 2021 enrollment letter. Let me jump to that. If you see in your board packet on page 45, it states that Senate Bill 654 requires that boards vote at least once a month on whether the face coverings policy needs to be modified. We don't currently meet monthly, so enclosed in the board packet on page 46 is a revised board calendar that includes a December, January, and May meeting, which can, of course, be virtual, but it's the purpose of those additional meetings would be to discuss whether you want students, staff, visitors, etc., continuing to wear a mask at Forsyth Academy. And that, yes, ma'am?
I'm sorry, Melissa. I was just going
That's
to pop
okay.
in and say there actually is one date on here. I think I missed the Tuesday, April the 12th. We're all on spring break that week.
Okay.
I don't know if that could possibly be April the 5th.
Yes.
Okay.
No problem. I'll have Sandy change that.
Thank you.
And we can change that this afternoon for the motion if necessary. Yep. Any questions on the calendar or any of those discussion items real quick?
In the fall 2021 enrollment, wasn't that something that I think you guys, Tiffany, I think you wanted that on the thing for this year, right? Is that what that is? Okay.
I'm sorry, I missed that, Wendy.
I'm gonna let Tiffany take it.
Oh, okay. Tiffany,
Okay.
take it.
Yes, no problem. So in past years, we have, as a board, decided to stop enrollment after count day, specifically because normally the students that apply are normally coming because of discipline reasons from other schools, and it serves as a distraction for our teachers and our students. And so as a board, we generally ask that we no longer accept any new enrollees after count day. And anyone else, please, if I've missed anything, please feel free to add.
how I remember it as well, but if we're already a month past count day, have we already done it for the 21-22 school year? Taking in additional students?
We are still taking in additional students at this time until a board decision is
Until
made.
we vote. Okay.
Right.
All right. Just checking. Thank you.
Stephanie, is that a motion? Do you make a motion?
I didn't make a motion yet, but I think I asked that it be added to the agenda last time. And I think that's the discussion item, the fall 2021 enrollment. That's what our discussion item is, but we will vote on it.
Correct.
Okay, so we need to make a motion. Is that what I'm hearing for this meeting, or is it for the next meeting in November?
I think that it is under.
For this meeting.
Okay.
Under discussion on this meeting.
Mhm.
Okay, is there a motion on the floor to not accept any more students because we're past count day for 21-22 school year?
I make a motion to not accept any new students for the 2021-2022 school year.
The second.
Okay, it's been properly moved in second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposition? It doesn't seem like it, so the motion carries. We will not accept any more new students, new enrollees for the 21-22 school year. Okay, Melissa?
Yes, ma'am. On to closed session. Can I have a motion?
I make a motion that we move